Okay, so we got a lot to get into today. This is a half episode of the Titans Rundown. We've got a special guest, and we're going to talk about joint practices and the two injuries that happened. No coffee bit today. Roll the intro. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I am your host, Micah McCamey, and today I am joined with an athletic trainer who recently worked as a medical concussion spotter for the Tennessee Titans and the Vanderbilt Commodores. We have Mr. Drew Shea. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, Micah. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So first off, I just want to ask, could you explain to people what your job is exactly? Like what you do?
Sure, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I am an athletic trainer, but recently I was working as a medical concussion spotter with the Tennessee Titans, and currently I'm still with the Vanderbilt Commodores. So, what that basically means is I am a extra set of eyes that watches the field to determine if a concussion occurs or any of the players are dealing with any concussive type symptoms so that I can notify the sidelines so that the athlete can get the medical care they need. Because sometimes, the game is fast, there's lots of activity. Often things get missed that they can't see from the field level. So, me being above the field, I can pick up on signs or symptoms of concussion, notify the sidelines, or if I have to stop the game because a lot of times the teams are in no huddle and the game keeps going and someone's injured and they can't get off the field. So I'm just there for their to provide an extra layer of coverage to determine whether a concussion occurs. So I've been doing this with the Titans now. Until this season, I had been with the last 4 seasons, and I've been with Vanderbilt for the past 5.
Wow. Okay, so I ain't gonna lie, I didn't even discuss what his job was before the episode, and that is a very interesting job, if I'm being completely honest. So
Thanks.
let's get right into the events of the episode now that y'all have gotten to know Mr. Shea a little bit more. Okay, so first off, we got to talk about some of the injuries, man. So
Right.
obviously we had the Treylon Burks injury, and you've probably done some research on that. Could you tell us a little bit more about the timetable, maybe?
Sure. I was able to watch the video of the injury 3 or 4 different times. Unfortunately, a lot of times with these preseason or practice sessions, you don't get a lot of good coverage or angles that you would get on a normal game. But I was able to see the injury, slow it down, and look at it. I also read a lot of the reports, but apparently he suffered from what was called an LCL, which is a lateral collateral ligament in the knee. So basically, if you want me to describe the lateral collateral ligament is a ligament that's on the outside of the knee. It's a short ligament that will sometimes become stretched, and it's a very rare injury. You don't see it that often, but it controls the movements where the knee goes to the lateral or the outside. So that injury can be short term. It can be a little long term. It depends on how severe it is. So I'm sure that Coach Vrabel and his medical staff are going to take this very seriously, and knowing that these injuries can continue to cause issues, they're going to wait and take their time with it. I'm sure the MRI revealed that he had a lateral collateral ligament injury. So, with that being said, I would say that they will be very cautious this time of year with that, and he has a wonderful medical staff and athletic training staff with the Titans, and they'll do a fantastic job of returning him when it's time.
All right. So, do you think there's any exact timetable for when he may return?
Well, again, it depends on how the degree of the injury, the sprain of the LCL is. So I would say with them playing tonight, I don't have a crystal ball, but my expectation is you won't see him tonight, since the injury was just so recent. But I think I don't think it's it should not be a long term injury. But again, it just depends on the severity. It's hard for me to say for sure. I don't have any. I don't. I haven't. I don't have any of the details. But based on my my professional experience, it'll just be a matter of day to day, game to game. Like I said, early in the preseason, they'll probably not want to rush him back too much.
All right, I got you. I got you. So the D Hop signing actually probably looks a little bit better now. Like it
Sure,
was already good even whenever it did happen, but now that Treylon Burks is hurt, we at least have one good receiver. So
that's right. That's right. And
anyway, I'm gonna go over an injury that doesn't have as much information about it, but I want to see if there is anything that you could take a guess on. But like, how about the Will Levis injury? Because we don't really know that much about it.
yeah, that is a mystery. That's an undisclosed injury. It just when you look at it or when you read about it, it's just called a lower body injury. So that's very vague. I honestly, there's very little information on that injury, and I don't know if it's because they're just not. It's just so recent they haven't run all the tests they need to run on it, or there's something that's difficult to diagnose. So you're right, Micah. There is very little information on that injury. So I would say you'll hear something in the next couple of days. Coach Vrabel made it. He was kind of hush hush on that in his interviews. So again, a lower body injury is very vague. I don't know what that could be anywhere in your lower body. So again, I don't have. They didn't even have video footage of the injury, so it may have been something that's been aggravating him for a while. It could have been just something that he did that they really couldn't tell from a video on when it occurred. So that's really all I can tell you on that one.
All right, yeah. We just hope that both of those guys can get better and be able to be there in week one. But we'll
That's right.
just have to see what happens.
Yes.
So now I'm gonna move on to what happened. So thank you for those updates on the
Yeah,
injuries.
you're welcome. Sure.
So so now we're gonna move on to some of the stuff that happened at joint practices this this last week. We joint practiced against the Vikings, ironically enough, because we played them today.
Mhm.
But we but I got a couple of notes down about it. So first off, from what I heard, the defense did really well. The secondary had some very good plays, and they got to the quarterback a lot, which is what you want from your defense. So, uh, you notice anything else about the defense?
Well, the defense, as you said, I mean, they've always had the last few years, their interior line has been extremely strong. They have been able to move the line of scrimmage, but as you well know, and we both know that getting to the quarterback is the key, keeping him out of his rhythm. And so, if they, with them continuing to sign their key players up front, it's going to make them allow them to get to the quarterback a little bit better. But again, they've got some all pro type players up front that will definitely help with that. So hopefully the defense should be. They have a couple pieces to replace, but again, if they can stay healthy, health was such a problem last year with them. They had so many injuries. If they can stay healthy, they should be a solid defense, I would think.
Yep. We just hope that they can stay healthy, especially Christian Fulton.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to him later. But also, I'm not too sure if you noticed this, Mr. Shea, but Tannehill didn't look as bad as he did during the other just regular practices that we had just with the Titans by themselves. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean uh, he's a veteran guy. He puts in the work. He's gonna be prepared when the season opens. He knows that the Titans had drafted another quarterback early in the draft and just to have security there. And of course, as you can see in the NFL now, everyone's drafting quarterbacks earlier and earlier because that's become such a. It used to be where quarterbacks weren't expected to play right away, and now they're expecting those guys to play right out of college. But I think with he being such a veteran, he's prepared. He's put in the work, and I expect him to have a solid season. I mean, he's got an extra, with adding D Hop to his receiving core, and they've added depth at the running back. I think he's got some guys around him, offensive line. If they can secure that, I would expect them to be better on offense this year.
Yep, as long as the offensive line stays good and D Hop plays fine and doesn't get hurt, then yeah, I think that offense will take a big leap from last year, especially without Todd Downing.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, but also speaking of D Hop, I've also heard reports that he's still got it. He caught a touchdown during practice yesterday and made some of the defensive backs just look silly.
Well, I mean, he's done it a lot. He's done it for a long time. I mean, he's a established receiver, and that's good and bad. You want your secondary to be good as well, but I'm sure for the defensive secondary to get to go up against a player of his caliber every day can only make you better. So again, that's good for the secondary to practice against him, but it's also great to see that he seems like he's in midseason form already. So they've missed having that go-to receiver the past couple of seasons, and so now with he and basically in his prime, you hope that if Treylon Burks comes back and he's healthy, you've got two really solid receivers. If he takes his step forward this year, they got a chance. And the tight end, they're solid, and there's opportunities there if they can continue. I would think they still need to develop the third receiver a little bit. I mean, I know they have a couple of guys there, but one of them needs to come up and be able to catch 40 balls this year. Something like that would probably help.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, as long as, D Hop stays in that midseason form, whenever the season actually comes around, our offense is going to be good. And whenever you said a reliable pass catcher, I still am so upset that we traded away A.J. Brown, and I will never forgive John Robinson for that. But anyway, so last thing, this is just more of a, thing just to, have some fun with. If we're going to take a look at that interception that Christian Fulton had during practice.
Impressive.
My apologies if the camera angle on it isn't as amazing as it could be, but anyway, also shout out to I'll try and find his name after we see the play, but I mean, I know that's not the best camera angle for it, because there's some dude walking in the way too. But golly, that's just if you can get a good look at it, that is a heck of an interception, man.
Yeah, it's very athletic. Now you got to make those plays like that.
Yep. Let's hope he can make those throughout the whole.
Yeah.
What was that?
Those are difference makers in those close games.
Yep. Let's hope that he can make those plays throughout the rest of the season.
That's right.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. We went over what happened in joint practices and 2 injuries, and we had guest Mr. Drew Shea on. Again, thank you so much for coming on to the show, man.
Hey, Micah, thank you. The pleasure was all mine.
Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. I love y'all, and tighten up.